No questions. Forgot to put the chat up, but mm, so the exam is Monday. This is a previous exam. This one was 10 points for her problem, but there was only 5 problems and they had to take home. This is broken into 10 questions. That way there's not so much in one question and they're 5 points each. But these are all on Chegg, so I figured we could use them to practice. But when you get on, you don't need to print the exam. You can use lined paper. It doesn't even have to be lined, but it's up to you. I'll have 2 copies up there, a Word document and a PDF. That way, whichever one works better for you. And sometimes, like some of the exponents, I don't have any graphs on it, but sometimes graphs don't work so well. And it doesn't look like there's exponents either, because we get into that in the next chapter. This is all linear. But there's both, so whichever one works for you. A lot of times what I'll do is once everybody's gotten on and got the password, I'll put the test up there also. So if there's something you weren't sure of, you can look. Make sure you number the problems. So if they are out of order, it's not a problem. The biggest thing, make sure you show all your work. I don't want, if I ask for marginal profit and you just say it's 10, I want to know how you got it. Remember, marginal profit's the slope, so write the formula or plug in like you would for an equation. You can turn it in by pictures or you can scan it to a PDF. There's one called Scannable. I think it's just called Scannable. I don't think I have it anymore. My son used it a lot during COVID, but my daughter didn't like it. So that is one though that you could try out and see. But there's a lot. Or you can just take a picture of it and attach the picture. If I can't open it, I'll let you know and we'll figure out another way. You can also text it to me. Sometimes when you're on Zoom and you're trying to upload a lot of pictures, say you did maybe 2 problems, so maybe 5 pictures, it takes time and moves really slow. So just text me the pictures and then when you get off, upload it. I like to have it on the computer though, that way we know it's up there and you put it in, but you can still text me or email me. So if you're having a problem uploading, don't worry about it. Just text me them, say I can't get it uploaded right now. And then when you get off, it'll probably go a lot faster. You want to stay on Zoom till you've sent me your pictures, whether it's uploaded them, try that first, or texting me them. Any questions on that? Oh, thank you. I didn't think of that. So Apple is also a good tool for scanning. I'll have to look, I didn't know that one. Thank you. So there's a lot of them out there. If anyone else knows ones, type them into the chat for everyone and they can see which one you like best. Any questions on the process. You'll have the whole time, but it should not take more than 50 minutes. Each question should not take more than 5 because I split some of these up. This one here is broken into, I think, 4 problems. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. I think 4. Okay, so on yours, it's 5 points each for a total of 50 because there's 10 problems. But this is a great review. Any questions before we start it? Okay, let's look at the first one. You know, let me pull this over first. I was writing to make sure I covered everything. So there's 10 problems, 5 points each. The Hoy Vox is at least, it's 2 problems, I think. I don't think it's more than that, but it's at least 2. Given one, find the other, including one of them will say to graph. So there's 2 like that. Given a graph, is it a function? So is a circle a function? Is a parabola a function? Find the 0 of a function. Find the x or y intercept. Remember, the 0 is the x-intercept. Find marginal profit and explain what it means. Find when you are no longer at a loss. I ask you to explain. No. I asked marginal profit. Find marginal profit and explain it. Remember, no, that's not the same. Break-even quantity. Oh, here it is. Explain break-even quantity. No longer at a loss and break-even quantity are the same thing. When you break even, you are no longer at a loss. Find the equation given 2 points. I put explain break-even quantity separate. That way, if you did find it wrong or weren't able to find it, you could still explain it. So I put it separate. I'll say like the break-even quantity is 24. What does that tell you? So these were 2 separate problems. And then find the equilibrium point. Any questions? So we will solve all of these by doing these. And if there's a part we need to add, I'll add it when we're doing it. But any questions? Okay, first. App State has found its profit for t-shirts can be described by a linear function. The profit from producing 200 items is 340. The profit from 400 items is 980. Find the marginal profit. Marginal profit is the same as your slope. So if it said find the slope, same thing. Your change in Y over your change in X. So it's giving us 200 items is 340. 400 items is 980. That's giving you your 2 points. Oh, and on Chegg, this one was wrong. They found the profit function, but then they said marginal profit was something else. They found average profit instead of the marginal. So be careful if you are cheating, they're not always right. So we changed from Y. The biggest thing you want, it doesn't matter which one's the X ones and Y ones. It's just whichever point you start with, like I started with 980 for Y, I got to start with the same point for X. So marginal profit is 3.2. On the exam, I had you find the marginal profit, or I gave marginal profit, and then you have to explain it. So I broke it into 2 parts. So we find the marginal profit. To explain it, let's see if mine's probably t-shirts. Our X value is the number of t-shirts, and Y is profit in dollars. Each additional t-shirt increases profit by $3.20. So when you're explaining margin of profit, that's the slope. It's Y over X. Y is profit, X is the number of shirts. X always increases by 1. So each additional t-shirt increases profit by $3.20. Any questions? The second part said to find the equation. To find the equation, you use your slope. In either one of the 2 points, I guess I'd probably use this one because it's smaller, but you can use either one and you'll get the same answer. You could plug these into this equation, solve for B, and then go back in and plug in again. I prefer the point slope formula. Y minus Y1 equals M times X minus X1. And I plug into this. Y1 is the 340. My slope 3.2, X minus the 200. Any questions on plugging it in? Now, if you use the other one, it's going to look different right now, but when we solve it for Y, because we want it in this form, they will all be the same. distribute the slope. Any questions? So marginal profit and explain it. Find equation given 2 points. Any questions? The profit function in dollars is given by this equation, where X is the years after 1995. Find the year when the company will no longer be at a loss. So to find where it's no longer at a loss, remember that is, well, it's also your break even, but it's no longer at a loss when the profit is 0. So you're not losing money, but you're not making money. It's right where you start to make money. That means you let your profit equal 0. And we're looking for the year when the company's no longer at a loss. So first thing we need to do is find X. Add this to the other side. Getting X by itself, we'll divide by the 2100. Getting 5.
Yeah.
But they're looking for what year it will be. X is the number of years after 1995. So we need to add those. So it would be in the year. In the year 2000, the company will break even. The company will be no longer at a loss. Any questions on that? Find when no longer at a loss. Explain break even quantity. Mm. I think you kind of did there. I think it's more when you have a number than the year. So something like that could explain it. I think it's with a quantity, and there's another problem that we'll go over with it. But any questions on that one? Sales figures show that demand function is this, where P is profit from selling Q magnolia plants and the supply is this. Find the equilibrium point using substitution or elimination. So I don't want you to graph it. You can graph it on Desmos and check your answer, but I want to see your work for either one, substitution or elimination. This one, the way it's set up, I would use elimination because notice adding down, the Q's drop out. So I would use elimination. Any questions so far? Notice if we add down, the Q's drop out. Um, 140p equals 560. So the price would be 4. Any questions on that? No, it wants an equilibrium point, so you need to find both variables. Plug into either one. I would use this first one because Q is positive. Here I'd need to divide by -1 afterwards to make it positive. You can do both of them and make sure it matches so that you know you didn't make a mistake also. So if you plug into both of these, you should get the same answer. 60 times 4, 24, 240. And then subtract the 240. $70 magnolia plants will sell if we sell them for $4 each. You could just write the two values, or you could put it as a point. Quantity goes first. Any questions on that? That would be this one. wanted to make sure I hit record. Any questions on 3? Number 4. The owner of Inner Circle Pizza found X customers per week. The weekly cost and revenue is given by the 2 functions. C of X equals 15,280 plus 2X, revenue is 42X. Given this information, find the break-even quantity using substitution or elimination and explain what this value tells the owner without using the word break even. I think I split this into 2. One, I just tell you if the break even quantity is this, explain what that tells the person. So I broke this into 2. That's what these 2 are. Substitution or elimination. If you're going to use elimination, you'd want to change these to Y's and then subtract. But for break even, that's when revenue equals cost. So you're using substitution, you're plugging the revenue in here and the cost in here. And then we just solve. So break even is when you let the revenue equal the cost. And we want the break even quantity, so you don't need to plug it back in. You'll get zeros if you plug it back in, right? Break even, yeah. Subtract the 2X. Divide by the 40, sorry, 4, and get, oh, it's 40. I don't know why I said 4. 382. So the break-even quantity is 382. This is the owner of Inner Circle Pizza. To explain this break-even quantity, the quantity is the number of customers. Per week. What it means then is you need to have 382 customers come through the store before you start making any money. So you are at a loss until the 382nd person comes through the door. And that's in 1 week. So if you cannot get that much business every week, then you need to find another business or a way to make it cheaper, a way to get people in. But 382 customers need to come through the door before you are no longer at a loss. Any questions on that? positive. Okay, these ones I broke up. This one I didn't put on there because I forgot to put it on my math lab. It deals with the scatter plot, and we talked about it, but if the scatter plot's data points are all on a trend line, R squared is 1. So if you have a trend line and all your points land on it, your R squared is 1. But I took that section out because most of it's going to be with your project. So that one's not on there. Write the equation of a horizontal line through the point -4, 3. So whether I tell you horizontal line, slope 0, y-intercept, any one of these, you should be able to do the other two, plus draw graph. So in this one, write the equation of a horizontal line through the point -4, 3. Horizontal line uses this one. Slope is 0. Y equals y value 3. So this would be y equals 3. We needed to graph it. It crosses the y-axis at 3, and it's a horizontal line. Any questions on that? Let's see what other ones I asked. So you just want to be able to go back through all 3. What is the slope? Slope is 0. If we have a vertical line, slope is undefined. We'll keep the same point. If we wrote the equation, the x value, vertical line, undefined slope, x is a number, the x value -4. So if we have a vertical line, slope is undefined. X equals a number. And if we use the same point, it'd be -4. To graph it, it crosses the x-axis at -4. And we know it's a vertical line. So there's 2 problems that use the Hooy-Vux. Any questions on that? Is a circle a function? And you'll have to explain on this one. Is a circle a function? If we draw a circle, we can use the vertical line test. Circle is not a function when You use the vertical line test. You can intersect. So when you use the vertical line test, you can intersect at more than one point on the circle. You could show it and then you could say that it doesn't pass the vertical line test, see the picture. So I could use a circle, a parabola, an oval. Any questions on that? Does everyone know what a parabola looks like? We haven't really gone over, we go over cubic and power functions later. You should know them, but. Or I might have a graph and ask you. Absolute value is a V. Cubic function looks like a snake. So I will either have a graph. Parabola, you should know what a parabola looks like. Circle, you know what a circle looks like. And I'll ask you if it is a function, and then you tell me why it is or is not. Any questions on that? What is the slope? Oh, that's another one, way back. What is the slope of the equation x equals 7? X equals slope's undefined. Any questions on that? What is the zero of the equation? The zero is the same as x-intercept. X-intercept, we let y equal 0. Now you could just cover this because it drops out, divide by 5 and get 4. Or you can plug it in, this drops out. So the zero of the function is 4, the x-intercept is 4. Any questions on that? And I might have one that says y-intercept. So we'll find the y-intercept of the same one. Y-intercept, let x equal 0. This drops out, answer's 10. Any questions? And that took care of all these ones here, this one. That one, that one. Any questions on any of them? Positive. Okay, so this was a previous exam. If you have it, it's a good one to practice. The best way to study is the My Math Labs and the problems we did yesterday and today. Yesterday's video is up there in case you missed it. And this one will be up sometime today. But is there any questions? How about, okay, positive, no questions. Is there any questions on at least the homework part of the project? If you go on to As You Learn, I believe I put it into the next week because it's due next weekend. I don't know if everything's in there yet, but I put the sections that we'll be covering, and then attendance and homework for the scatter plot. So you want to choose two numerical values that you feel may have a relationship. Write a paragraph about how you'll gather your data, why you chose this data. You can gather it by survey, research, asking people, however. If you work at a company and you want, like if you worked at Dairy Queen, you could keep track of the first 25 customers that come in, maybe how many blizzards they got and how much money they spent. Or you can compare if you do 25, well, we don't have 25 days though. So I don't think I'd do that. I was thinking you could count how many ice cream cones compared to blizzards. If you could go back in your records, you could do that. 25 different days, how many of each were sold. So it doesn't have to be asking questions. You can just keep track of something where you work. Or if you're on a sports team, the number of hours slept and how many goals somebody scored in the season. But if you have any questions, let me know. You do not want to start gathering your data yet. Turn it in so I can look at it and make sure it will work before you do that. Because then we might have a different idea that might work a little better. Or it might be great, but just so you know, and it might be something you think you're going to find research for really easy, and then it's not so easy. We've talked about some of these examples I've had students do before: size of a tattoo and the price, weight of a bullet and speed, age of a cow and milk. This starts out linear, but then of course there's a certain age where a cow can only give so much milk. So depending on how small you keep it, that's the idea with extrapolation. Going too high, then it wouldn't work in that linear, which is fine. Height of a basketball player and the number of baskets they made in a season, the size of a tornado and its speed. But try and think of something that you're interested in. Have fun with it. Is there any questions on the project? So that's not the project. This is just the homework. For the project, you're going to actually find the data, graph it like we did on Desmos or Excel, and then you're going to find a linear equation, quadratic equation, and a power function, and see which one's more accurate. Any questions? Okay, so start thinking about the homework. Worry about the exam first, but if you're good with the exam, start thinking about what you might want to look at. Is there any questions? Positive. All right, I don't want to start anything new because then I don't want to, start thinking about something else and it messes up the exam. So you could use this time to work on My Math Lab. Think about your project. If you have a question, send me a text. Any questions?